Newt clearly laid out what I consider to be the most powerful position for the entire campaign that any candidate has talked about, where he clearly articulates an energy policy for America, cutting gasoline prices, taking them to at least to $2.50, to allow for this country to be independent no longer of foreign oil, but domestic production, and to open up those federal land and waters to pay off the federal debt, over $16 trillion in those federal lands and waters from energy resources, to pay off the national debt. Now, there are a lot of things going on in the world, Laura, and they talked about some of them that were important and then some that aren't so important last night, but the Newt Gingrich intellectually was a giant last night.
There was one moment, Governor, which was kind of one of those silly Oprah moments, and to me it was just an example of why these debates often are just become the silly season. And when John King asked each candidate to use one word to describe himself, what would it be? It's like, if you could be a twee, Governor Perry, which twee would you be? I mean, this is crazy. But this
I know
is, this is,
it was
this
one of the things that always drove me batty about.
Oh, no. No.
But this is for the presidency of the United States.
Yeah, exactly. It's not Jeopardy.
President.
Yeah, so this is how Newt answered that question. Let's listen.
Without caveats or explanations, please define yourself using one word and one word only. Congressman Paul?
Consistent.
Senator Santorum?
Courage.
Governor?
Resolute.
Mr. Speaker?
Cheerful.
You know what's funny about that is everyone, Newt is Mr. Pugnacious, and he's like I was expecting him to say irritated. Yeah, exactly, cheerful, and it was a moment where, something he's kind of come across at this point as a happy warrior, and
absolutely,
and I like that moment.
Post debate, that's exactly what I said. I said he was channeling Ronald Reagan at that particular moment when he said cheerful, because it conjured up in our minds the statement of being a happy warrior that Ronald Reagan talked about. The interesting thing for me is I watched that and just to absorb, and the first two gave interesting and I think probably appropriate for their perspective. But when Mitt said resolute, it dawned on me. It's kind of like there's probably not 20% of the people in here that would give you the appropriate definition of resolute. So it was really interesting. What does resolute mean?
Yeah, indefatigable.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting. It's kind of like, no, that's the name of a boat, big ship.
No. Hey, Governor, when you watched this last night, did you take away this impression that some are taking away, and I think I stated this a couple of days ago on the show, that your Texas compatriot there, Ron Paul, seems to be, guarding the flank for Romney. He seemed to go in at various junctures and either amplify Romney's points or try to take Santorum out at the knees on issues that clearly benefit the would-be front-runner Mitt Romney. Do you get the sense that there's some unspoken alliance there?
I don't know whether there's an alliance there or not, but that's been the case all through the debates, all 20 of them, I might add, that Ron Paul and Mitt Romney had a really interesting partnership, let us call it.
We're talking to Governor Rick Perry from the great state of Texas. According to recent polls, Governor Perry, Texans are in love with somebody, but it's not Newt Gingrich, it's Santorum. Now, I'm thinking Rick Perry's endorsed Gingrich, and Rick Perry's beloved by so many in Texas. So why the heck is Rick Santorum up in Texas and your guy Newt isn't?
Well, we don't even have a primary date yet because of those individuals that would like to contest our redistricting. And it's a long time until Texas has its primary. There will be ups and downs. And I will tell you, Texans, once they get focused and they look at the candidates And when you are a state that is economically as sound as the state of Texas is right now, we put tax and regulatory and legal system policies into place that make Texas the number one job creation mecca in the country, then Newt's energy policy and his discussion about here's how you legitimately and sanely pay off the national debt by using our federal lands and waters and the exploration of those resources that are there, I think it's really going to have a huge impact. When there's a 28-year-old young man or woman who is looking at these candidates, who's going to the gas station and seeing $4 plus and projections of higher than that gasoline prices, and you've got a candidate who's talking thoughtfully, intellectually, and positively about how to get this country back on track, I think that's going to have a big impact. And
so you think the polls are wrong, or they're going to change?
Oh, I just think they're going to change. I don't think that the people in Texas, from the standpoint of, look, I started my last campaign for governor 25 points behind, running against a very well-known United States senator. So anyway, the bottom line was, I think these polls are what they are at that snapshot in time, but we're a long way from the primary.
Hey, Governor Perry, it's when you're on with me, I'm going to tease you about something. So a couple of months ago, it seems like it was a year ago, but a couple of months ago when you gave that speech in New Hampshire and people thought you were a little loopy, well, your former campaign manager in New Hampshire came out and explained it for an audience she was addressing, I guess, in New Hampshire. Just to remind people of what happened and what she said yesterday. Let's listen.
This is such a cool state. I mean, come on. Live free or die. I mean, it's like, live free or die, victory or death. Bring it.
We had a private meeting with 15 or 20 evangelical leaders in New Hampshire. It was a lot of people that were focused on a religious aspect of politics. And we had this meeting, and they shared a prayer together, and they shared about a half an hour together, and he left that meeting on a high. And it just shows the type of person he is. That is his core. He holds God very close to him.
Were you high on God? Was that what's going on?
Absolutely, every day.
Were you high on God at that moment when you're giving that speech?
I tell you what, it's really interesting how the media from time to time want to decide what is going on inside of your head. And
that's your campaign person in New Hampshire. That's not the media. She said you were on a religious high after a meeting. I mean, that's fine with me if you're on a religious high. I mean, I think that's kind of cool. But is that a correct characterization?
Oh, I think it's an appropriate reflection of who I am from the standpoint of I try to be on a religious high every day. I mean, if people really understand what faith is all about, and that listen, God's in control of your life, and you just go on out there and do the best you can, and it'll all turn out the way He's got it planned. So, if that's the description of me, then I plead guilty to that every day, I hope.